Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, a daily podcast devoted to spirituality and self-help. If you're new, I want to welcome you. If you're returning, welcome back. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about Mercury in retrograde. I know I've talked about this before because we had Mercury in retrograde back in March. And those of you that remember it was super fun. I want to talk about some of the things that could be happening right now to you because of Mercury in retrograde. And I want to stress that I don't want to get into these stories of this has to happen to you or that this is going to happen. I'm just telling you what sometimes people experience during Mercury in retrograde, so you know that if things are happening to you, you understand what's going on and why. But I also like to get out of those stories of this has to happen to us or because this is going on, this is going to happen. I want you to know that it is all in your mindset that we can ask our team for help and we can decide that we're not going to allow things to happen to us in a certain way or let things affect us. So we do still absolutely have power and control over what happens to us, and we are still creating our own realities. But I just kind of wanted to give you a little energetic update to see what's going on. So with Mercury in retrograde, it would sound from the name like Mercury is moving backwards, but it's not actually moving backwards. It just appears to be moving backwards right now. But there are a lot of things during this time of Mercury in retrograde that you might be experiencing. A lot of times when people say Mercury is going in retrograde, people are like, oh my gosh, oh no. Because there are just a lot of things that during this time period are a little frustrating. For one thing, it seems like when you try to make plans during this time period, it just seems like nothing comes together. And I can attest to this because over the past couple of days, I've had clients who have been emailing me and wanting to set up appointments. And as you know, I'm getting ready for my trip too. And so I'm telling them, I only have this amount of time. I only have these days. And so trying to get something set up, and it's been a lot more difficult than it usually is. So that's one thing that can happen during Mercury in retrograde. The other thing, and you may hear other people who are readers or whatever talk about this, is that communication can be very difficult during Mercury in retrograde, and I'm not really sure why. But people who have podcasts or who are YouTube stars, when they are trying to talk during this time, it's like they have a harder time getting their words out for some reason. And I've noticed that this is definitely the case with me. I've tried recording this podcast once already, and first of all, I had a hard time finding my words, and there was no other reason. There was nothing going on for me to be like, well, I can't find my words. And then whenever I went to upload it, it wouldn't, the recording wasn't even there. And that's another thing, is that a lot of electronic things tend to not work, especially computer things during Mercury in retrograde. And I don't know why, but I do remember during the last one we had, I was at school and we lost internet several of the days of the week for large chunks of time, and it made trying to do anything impossible. And we were all very frustrated. And it didn't seem like there was a reason we should have been without internet. And I remember too, my brother, he works at a school district and he works, in the technology department. And I remember him just complaining and griping and saying that, he couldn't get some program to load and he was having a hard time. And I was like, oh, it's Mercury in retrograde. And he's like, what? What is that? So I had to explain what it was to him. And he's like, yeah, that's definitely fitting because we've been having so much trouble with technology. And that's one of the things that really, as weird as it is, it's like something that should work perfectly doesn't. And what I've found in this time is when something like that happens to me, I just take a break and try to step away from what I'm doing. And I say, okay, angels, take care of that. And then I come back and then it will work. And I don't really know why. I really don't know why that happens. But there are a lot of things that really seems to happen when we have Mercury in retrograde. And one of the things is that Mercury rules all types of communication. So listening, speaking, learning, reading, editing, researching, negotiating, selling, and buying. So one of the things people also say is, Mercury rules all formal contracts and agreements. So don't sign any contracts during the time of Mercury in retrograde. And it's from July 7th to the 31st. And I don't know. I don't know that you should not sign a contract, but they just say be especially careful with contracts during this time because communication can be very difficult, and pinning things down, things coming together can be very difficult. So another thing that, again, is included in the planet's domain are code, so like computer code. So that's why when the planet goes retrograde, those things get all scrambled or spin out of control. So when a planet is retrograde, it means that it's resting or in a sleeping state. So when Mercury is basically napping, the activities that it governs don't function very well. And that's really kind of what's going on. There are a lot of other things that happen too, because Mercury is the planet that is associated with communication. A lot of people tend to have fights and miscommunications with people during this time too. And it's easy to have miscommunications with people anyway, especially if you're communicating via text. But if you are doing this during Mercury in retrograde, there's a bigger chance that there's going to be miscommunication. So just be careful about that. And again, you can always, when you have to have conversations with people, you can ask our team to help us. But another thing that tends to happen right now too is people, they become very forgetful because, again, it's ruling the communication, speech, things like that. So if you feel like you're having a hard time finding your words, and I'm not kidding, as I listen to other podcasts or to people who are readers or whatever on YouTube, as I'm listening to them, oftentimes they'll be fumbling around trying to find the word that they're looking for. And I know, and they'll say, oh, it's Mercury in retrograde. And it's true, really. If those of you who have to speak publicly, you may have noticed you have a harder time around this time of year. And I get it. I definitely have noticed that with my podcast lately. And at first I was just like, oh, it's because I'm so busy and everything's so hectic. And then I realized, oh, Mercury is going retrograde. So yeah, that's why. So there can be miscommunications. And another thing too, to be careful about is that when we have Mercury in retrograde, one of the things that we are supposed to be doing during this time is dealing with our karma. And so sometimes another thing that you can expect to happen is that sometimes people from our past will come back into our lives, either to tie up loose ends and release karma or whatever. So you may get apologies from people. And you may get people from past relationships, romantic relationships, trying to come back in and apologize. And I just want to say here that, if someone comes back in to apologize, that's great. And you can accept their apology. But it doesn't mean you have to take someone back just because they come back during the time of Mercury in retrograde. Now, if they come back and they're sincere and they've changed, then that's great by all means. But we know that just because someone comes back, it doesn't mean we take them back. You have to be very discerning about where you put your energy. So if someone comes back and they're apologizing, but they don't change their behavior, remember, an apology without changed behavior is just manipulation. So they're just trying to get you back by apologizing, but they're not really changing their behavior. So be careful about that. Just because people come back, it doesn't mean that they're meant to be in your life. That may be that they've come back to apologize to end a cycle with you. Or if they've come back and they seem sincere, let their actions speak louder than their words and test them on that. And if they have changed and, they come back and you want to take them back, that's different. But oftentimes this time, this planetary alignment will cause people to come back into your life and want a second chance. And they haven't really changed. It's just, for some reason, this Mercury in retrograde, it brings up like a lot of nostalgic things for them. And again, it could be the karma that they know they have to work out karma with you or end a cycle. And so they come back, and that could be very confusing for you or frustrating. Again, don't tell yourself any stories of like, don't say they're going to come back. I'm just telling you that it is a possibility and that people do tend to come back during this time because it just brings about the things, the karmic cycles that we have to close out. And for some people, that's simply coming back and saying they're sorry and having you forgive them, and that's it. And an apology and being able to forgive someone is a gift. It's nice. It's nice to have. And you can just say, okay, thank you for the apology and bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Or if it's somebody coming back because they've really changed and they've really grown, and I will never be a person who tell you people can't change because I know that I've changed, but they have to prove it to you. So you have to be very discerning about when people come back, why are they coming back? And so I just wanted to give you a heads up for that. But again, communication can be very difficult during this time. So you may see that people are misunderstanding you more often, and that can be very frustrating. It affects different zodiac signs in different ways, and you can go and look up how it would affect your particular zodiac sign. But the thing is, it just can cause a lot of things to just go haywire. Like, one other thing they say is traveling. And of course, I'm just delighted to hear that traveling can be difficult because of delays and things like that. I'm just not feeding into that story, and I am giving it to my team, and I'm asking them to protect all of us during our travels, and that we're not going to experience any delays. Everything's going to be perfect, and it's going to be easy, and the universe is taking care of that, and I'm not going to worry about it. So again, these are just things that you might be seeing, but you can always ask your team for help and say, take care of that, and no, we're not going to feed into this. But during this time, just be very careful with your words and how you communicate, and don't buy or sell anything big or sign any contracts without really being careful about it. And there's even something that says you shouldn't do surgery unless it's really important and you can't pick a different date. Again, you don't have to give in to that whole panic and, whatever. But you may be feeling a lot of these things from Mercury in retrograde. You may be feeling tired and fatigued. Whenever we have different planetary alignments going on, it can cause physical and emotional symptoms within us. So if you're just feeling a little off, know that that's probably why, and you are fine, and you're going to be okay. And this ends on July 31st, but you will be okay. You will make it. Just remember to take extra care of yourself. And right now it's 11:11 my time, which I love that, a manifesting number. Everything's going to be perfect, And that's what we tell ourselves. We don't tell ourselves the stories of this isn't going to work out or what am I going to do. I'm just letting you know what's going on in case you've been feeling a little off, or these things have been happening to you, like your computer acting up. I'm not kidding you. All the things that have happened to me lately, though, I can totally tell that it's been Mercury in retrograde.